Hello, hello, hello. Um, I'm Chandra Williams,
My name is John.
and we are here today leading up to the wonderful, one of my favorite holidays, which is Valentine's Day. And we just thought that our story was interesting enough that we wanted to just share our experience. We've been married for 25 years, and yeah, so we're just gonna sit and chat, and you just get to dive into that what that 25 years has been like. So let's talk about how did we first meet.
But first, I have to add that Valentine's Day is not a holiday. As she said, it was one of her first, it's her favorite holiday, but I'm not sure that it's an actual holiday.
It's a calendar. It's a calendar day that most women love and most men kind of love. But anyway, my favorite, one of my favorite holidays. So, how did we meet? All those many moons ago.
We met in high school.
Mm-hmm. Like the hill to high, Lakeville, South Carolina.
I guess we met in, I'm not sure if I knew who she was before going into my geometry class.
I don't think so.
Because she was younger than I was, and so um, but it was in geometry that the 2 years, but 2 years definitely younger than I was. So I think I had to be a
You were a junior.
yeah. Okay, so I finished say I had to be a junior
Mm-hmm.
in
Mm-hmm.
high school. That means she was a freshman. So it was in geometry class. Um, my teacher name was Coach Orr,
Yes, Coach Orr.
um, and so I think that's the first meeting, the official meeting.
So
Um,
what? So what was it? He loves to say that it was my mind. Maybe it was. Maybe I have a brilliant mind. I always say that.
Honestly, I don't remember. Like she was just in geometry, and then
I think I sat in front of you.
um,
I remember sitting closest to the window. We were like a row over from the window.
okay, yeah, I remember that. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's what it was,
Mm-hmm.
because at some point I moved to the back of the class.
Mm-hmm. That's exciting that you went to the back of the class. There's a whole story behind that, but we're not gonna get into that. But you did. In fact, probably about middle of the class, middle of the year, you moved to the back of the class. So that kind of started our introduction. Um, I think there was at one point we had to work as partners or we had to do something together. And yeah, he kind of showed a little interest. So what was it? So what was it? What was it that made you say, okay, let me step up a little bit, see who she about? What's this about?
I don't think as a high school student I was thinking about like that.
Pretty much not.
Um, but I mean, she was a freshman. Um, Somebody I didn't know, hadn't known. Actually, as I think back, I don't remember really who I was. Well, I do remember it was. I only remember about three people in the class: myself and her, and then somebody else. I don't remember who else was in the class, but that's interesting. Who else was in the class?
Hmm.
Don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
So we just started talking and just struck up a conversation here and there. She says it's because we had to do a work assignment. Could be. Um, but she was definitely different than most of my high school friends, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, just the intrigue or interest began from there, and it just developed through conversation through that in that class, outside of that class, until eventually, honestly, she was probably hooked.
I
Um,
I was a.
Because now I was the junior in high school. My locker was on the opposite side of the building
I
from
remember
hers,
that.
so she made visits there pretty frequently. Um,
And you frequently visit my locker because you wanted to use my locker to keep from carrying your books on that side of the hallway. I remember that. You remember
well,
that? Uh
I
huh.
do.
Uh huh. Uh huh.
So um, so when we met, that just kind of when I was thinking about it and kind of just reflecting, having to sit here in this chair today. Um, that's kind of what drew my attention is that not in a bad way, not in, I'm not saying anything against the people who are in my class or my age. It just was definitely a difference in attitude, a different in presence that was different. So from there,
Just went on.
it
I
just
just
blossomed
yeah. I just
into.
remember you being very confident. I used to say you were kind of like arrogant. I think y'all can kind of see that from him, couldn't you? But he was. He was, and the same thing. Like you said, he was different, and it was the same for me with him because he was different. He was funny, but he just was always very respectful towards me. You know, in high school, boys can be they can be out about one thing. We always know one thing, um, and then they just did. I just considered stupid things to try to get your attention, but he was never that way. He never was disrespectful towards me. He always respected me and my viewpoints. Um, he always made me feel uh, sure about kind of where we were at that point. You know, it kind of got off the rails at one point, but we were in high school. But it was enough to keep it going. And then from there, we just kind of dated. I think our first date was our first date prom? Because I couldn't date before. I could not go out with you before I was 16. Even though we were dating, I could not. Because I remember you asked me that year to go to the prom with you, but I couldn't go because my parents were like, you can't date yet. You remember that? Because I went with you at your senior prom.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, I didn't remember necessarily the reason, but because I took Shalon Graham, who was my
Mm-hmm.
that was my um, date to the prom that particular year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I don't know if that was the. I thought that it might have been, but I'm not sure the timeline when we first went to. I don't know if we went to that park
Oh,
first or did we go
yeah.
to the movies
The
first.
park. I think that was the same night. We went to the movies and I think we stopped at the park on the way home. I remember that. That was one of my favorite dates.
So I don't know if prom. I couldn't
I
remember
couldn't
if that
remember
was
either
if that was.
before or after. But yeah. And then we just kind of then we broke up. None of my
So
doing, but we broke up because you know
well, I mean, you can call it a breakup.
you know
I
like
had
how we break
to.
up.
It was well before. Yeah, because I went to college. I
Hmm.
went off to college. Um,
We didn't really break up. We just I think I jumped the gun and said I remember saying he's going to college. I'm gonna be in high school. Clearly, he's gonna be in high school. He's gonna be in college, and this isn't working. We have a visitor. Um, come here, Frank.
oh God, I
he
didn't
likes to
expect
sit.
that.
He likes to sit in his lap. So this is our fifth
Sit down.
baby. This is Frankie. Frank. So he went to college. Graduation came. We made it through high school. He went to college. I was a junior, and I remember saying to him that you're going to college. Let's just be friends. It was no pressure. I didn't know what to expect. I just remember thinking to myself, I was going to be back home in school. He was going away. that was just a way that I kind of safeguarded myself. I think. What do you think? Kind of, sorta. We were kind of friends. We were
We were
friends.
friends. Yeah, because I went to college and she was a senior. Um, and so I got requested to go to her senior
Mm-hmm.
prom.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I never forget that. That was kind of interesting. My shirt was too big. I'll never forget that. My shirt
Your
was too
shirt was
big
too big.
that night. But
No, babe, that was my junior prom. That was my junior prom. My senior prom, we just went all as like friends. That was my junior prom. You were a freshman in high school, in college.
that was your junior prom. I thought that was
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because
That's
that
yep.
we went to the Black Barnwell State Park. I thought that was
Mm-hmm. I think we went both years. Whatever.
I don't
Whatever the
I don't
timeline
think
is.
it.
It's been a long time ago. But we had such a good time.
Hmm, that's interesting. I don't know. I always thought that was your senior year. Never. Needless to say, I went off to college. Um, she invited me to go to prom. I went. And life went on from there. Um, um, at one point, I laughed because this is it's an interesting story, but now I'm kind of anyway. At some point, so we remain friends. I'm just gonna say it like that. We remain friends. I think it was mutual. So in college, she got called.
Oh,
No,
let I Alicia Hutto, I'm gonna call you out on this. You're not Hutto anymore, but you're my roommate. When we first went to college, when I fast forward, I went to college. By then, you were a junior in college. I was a freshman. So now let's be for real. He knew the rules of the game. He knew how this go down. I'm at a HBCU. He at a PYW. Let's just be for real. I'm stepping on this campus with these brothers I've never seen from all walks of life, coming from Blackville to there, and I was at South Carolina State University. He called me every single day for the first 2 weeks. Every single day for the first 2 weeks. He wanted to make sure. You wanted to make sure. I stayed on him. You stayed on my mind. Isn't that the truth?
I was just making sure. I'm a college student. I already know the rules and kind of the rules of the game. I was just helping her remain
You was helping me.
because she's new.
Y'all hear that?
She
He was helping
was,
me.
because I've been around. So, but it was all in friendship. I would
It
say that
was.
um, because I did see some other people. One particular person that sometimes still comes up. I won't call their name, but no, that was back in high school. You were still in high school then. I
Uh
wanted to go
huh.
back to that because um, let me go back. Let me back it up for a minute. So even though I was away, um, and she was a special young lady, um, but I was also at that time probably seeing a young lady. Probably I was seeing a young lady because we had taken some photos together. We
Mm-hmm.
had taken some photos together, and so it was. I don't know if it was Christmas time or not or something. Probably sent a card. I sent her a card with
Mm-hmm.
a picture from that photo shoot, just of
Of
me, of
just
course.
him. Just of him.
Saying happy holidays. At some point, I'm gonna go. She didn't tell this part, so I'm gonna backtrack. So I'm in college. I'm here. I'm seeing someone, and so at some point I go home. I go home. I don't take anybody home. I've never. That was like, I mean, all right. First of all, in my house, I'm gonna bring somebody home from college. Oh gosh, this is kind of different. But I got permission. I did bring a young lady home with me, And of course, I kind of figured this, but I didn't figure this, but it did get to her that I
Hmm.
had brought somebody home that particular weekend. Um,
And
um,
how that happened, I was in school, and one of his friends, like of his classmates, had came up to the school that day, and I don't know, I was helping out in the office or doing something. I can't remember what, but I remember him coming up to me and be like, "Oh, your boy was home this weekend." I was like, "My boy?" He was like, "John." I was like, "Oh, well, that's nice." Being the young lady who's always try to be on my toes, full of grace, was like, "Oh, well, that's nice." And he said, he brought a girl home with him. I said, "Well, that's wonderful. I hope they be happy." He was taken aback by my response. I remember the look on his face, and he pulls out and shows me a picture of him and the young lady. And of course, it's the same outfit in the picture that he sent me. That was just him in the Christmas card. I said, "Look at this joker right here." So that same day, I'm in study hall. Guess who just happens to visit high school during my study hall? John Kelly Williams. I think that was planned.
um,
I'm pretty sure that was
I don't
planned.
think. I think
How do you show up in my study hall in school last period the same day that he showed up and told me? It's just very coincidental. I always remember that.
I don't recall it being planned. I don't even know why. I probably went up there to visit.
Mm-hmm.
It was Miss Williams. That was her name. Um, the study hall was actually that particular study. It had not moved, but it was outside
Mm-hmm.
in a portable.
It was. And I was in there, my cousin
But I don't
Rodney.
know why. I don't know.
He was up there, he was talking. And I remember going up to her desk because at that particular moment, I loathed the very thought of him and wanting to see him. So here he stepped in. I remember my heart was racing. I remember getting hot. And I remember my cousin Rodney saying, "Hey, cuz, you all right?" I said, "I'm good." He was like, "You want me to take him out?" Because he didn't like him. When we started, Rodney didn't like him when we were dating. And, he loves him now, but he didn't at that time. So we, I went up to the desk and I asked for a pass to go to the library. And I remember, never let him see you sweat. I remember my mom always telling me that. I didn't even acknowledge him. And I remember her saying something to me about, you see John here? I said, "I do. Can I get a study? Can I get a pass and leave?" And I left, and I remember going to the library. I didn't even speak to him. I act like I didn't even see you. I remember that. I remember that moment.
Now we must point out that we were not dating.
We were not dating.
So I was just visiting. Again, a teacher.
Uh-huh.
And
But then let's fast forward though. He's still in school. That's the same year my grandmother passes away. Remember that? Grandma Dosia passed away. So I think you and her must have broke up. Something transpired in that moment in time because I was actually dating somebody from high school for a
mm-hmm.
brief moment. So my grandma passed away. There's a house full of all my classmates at my house. There's people all at the house. We're sitting in the den. I'll never forget this moment. They're sitting in the den. The front door opens. And I remember my mama saying, "Hey, John." And I'm thinking to myself, "Can't be John Williams." And guess who it was? And I remember saying, "Yes, she's back there." Y'all, John Kelly Williams Jr. walked in the den where I was. And let me tell you, I can remember what he had on to this day. He walked in, he had on a white t-shirt with a blue Nike check. He had on some blue like shorts, He had on a cap that was blue and Nike. He had a gold chain on. He had on shades. He had a gold watch. He had on some sneakers, Nike sneakers. And he walked in and it was like, ah, for me. And so I remember he looked at me. I looked at him and he said, "You all right?" And I said, "I'm all right." And he said, "Let's go outside and talk." And I got up and went outside and talked. And we were out there just talking. We were talking. His cousin, who lived in the neighborhood, that was also my classmate, was there. And she came out there and was like, "Oh, y'all talk, y'all, this mean y'all getting back together." I remember her saying something to that effect. And then I was like, "No, we just talking." And so he asked me, was I seeing somebody? And I told him yes. And so I said, he's in there or whatever. Well, the boy I was seeing at the time, I remember him coming to the door and was like, "You all right? You ready to come back in? You've been out here a long time." He proceeds to tell him, "When I'm done with her, I'll let her come back in." That was it. That sealed the moment for me. We were done. Me and him was over. And I think at that moment is when we started kind of really rekindling our relationship. And I just remember I think that was the moment when things just started turning. I remember that.
Yeah, so I do remember. I didn't go. I went there. I went to visit um, because her grandmother um, was a sweet lady. Um, so I definitely, after she passed, I definitely had to um, give my respects to her family because she was just the sweetest little lady you would ever love to have met. Um, so I had to go. So I didn't go there with any intentions other than going to show respect. Um, um, I was nervous. I was nervous to go over there. Period. Just because number one, we weren't in a relationship or anything, but I mean, I had been in a relationship, so I'm nervous about it. But I knew that particular day. I don't know if I had been home already or had came home for that reason. Seemed like I want to say I came home after hearing of her passing to make sure I go over um, and show my face and things of that nature. So, um, but I went. Now that I think about it and I hear about it, I think that probably is um, when we started to kind of just,
Mm-hmm.
as she say, rekindle the relationship, so to speak. So, um, definitely a moment in time that I definitely remember um, happening.
Mm-hmm.
The part about the person that came outside, I do remember that because I remember looking over my right shoulder because the door was behind me, um, saying something. I can't say what I remember what I exactly said, but I did.
I feel like that was like a player gangster move or something to me.
Um,
Even though that wasn't
I
you.
was definitely, just letting them know. I don't really say didn't know there was no intention of any of that when I went had planned to go over there. So, um, and then after that, um, I guess things moved on.
Moving on. So what? So let's fast forward. So when did you know? When did you know that something was like different? What? When did it for you started changing? Like, okay, this is more than. I feel like this is gonna be more than just friends. This is more than like a girlfriend kind of deal.
Um, I don't know. I think as time went on, conversations that had been had um, began me to think about. I don't know why I'm thinking about this early in my life, but I started thinking about marriage and all of that, and I don't know. I didn't talk to a whole lot of people about it at all, but I think that's just kind of what happened. Just started thinking about it, like what would the future hold? I mean, I always knew, number one, I always knew um, if I had children, what their names were going to be. Um, I knew that. I started working on my children's names prior to me even thinking about getting a wife. Um, um, Almost made it. Didn't have the twins that I wanted because the twin was supposed to be Alexander Dumar,
Mm-hmm.
but the Lord blessed me with an Alexandria Janae. So I still got the names um, that I wanted to. So, but I think I guess that time went on, it just something was different. Something I was
Mm-hmm.
always pretty impressed that she was confident in herself and she kind of did what she wanted to do in terms of she did not fall into trying to do what everybody else did. For example, let me give you a good example. So in high school now,
Oh
some of my
gosh.
friends. I'm not gonna go back. I'm not gonna stick to this, but some of my friends, we were from the class of '94. So
Oh my.
class '94 was always the class that was on top. It still is, even in 2026. But we had some back then. We had some fashions that
Mhm. I
I think
already
about
know.
some of the high, um, the big hairstyles. Some of the
Mm-hmm.
girls in my class would wear. Um, but you know what was interesting? That she did not fall into those type of hairstyles. I'm talking big hairstyles too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I had a friend of mine that used to I'm gonna call her name Miss Keisha she had this hairstyle one time, like a bowl that was on the top of her head. Um, but again, not that it was bad. It was a fashion. It was a style. But she did not subscribe to any of that, any of those types of things. Now she had a unique style. There's some things that um,
That's that's orange.
there was some things that but I
Oh
didn't let that
gosh.
deter me. Um, I made sure I didn't let that deter me. I didn't let what others um, say
Mm-hmm.
deter me. When she talks about there was some orange pants, now
Leggings.
leggings right now are the
Leggings.
biggest thing, and I
Yes.
hate them.
You still hate them. You hated them back then.
Um, she has some orange leggings that she used to wear um, with some white kids.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
You hated
I
them.
thought it was the most ridiculous outfit, but guess what? It didn't matter. It was her outfit, you know. But as I think about it, I'm like, my God. But anyway, so I thinking about that through the years, and so she was just pretty confident and kind of held her own and her own standards and style. I've always respected that. So again, as we move forward, and I've started thinking about that. I was actually earlier trying to figure out, and so I remember actually I think I had already gotten. Now I had gotten by this time. I think I probably have already gotten saved, accepted Christ, and so really after accepting Christ made me really focus on what's
Mm-hmm.
next. And so I'll tell you this: I knew it. I knew that I was going to ask her for her hand in marriage. Um, it was, and I was trying to figure out the year, but it had to be somewhere because that was in. We got married in 2000,
Mm-hmm.
but I think I proposed in 98, 97, 98, 97 or 98. I think it might have been
It was 98.
98, but I
Mm-hmm.
bought. So, and the reason I remember this so distinctly, not necessarily the time, but I remember the moment. Um, I was there was a store in Myrtle Beach called Electric Avenue and More. Electric Avenue and More was where the currently I think it's the World Market is in Myrtle Beach near the Target. So that was Electric Avenue and More. So it was a furniture store. They showed electronics. They showed jewelry. Um, they sold all kinds of things of that nature. So I was in Electric Avenue and More. And I heard, I still say, I heard the Lord say, um, buy this ring. And I bought the ring. Um, and so I was prepared. Well, I thought I was. I bought the ring. I held that ring. I had to buy that ring by like in August. I want to say it was like in August, July or August. I bought that ring. I held that ring because my plan was to propose that December at a college. We were having our 25th year anniversary of the African American Association. And so I had all my friends on the college campus that I knew. Um, they thought we had a gala we had to go to um, that we had. And so I was supposed to propose at the gala. Everybody thought well, that was the plan. I was going, everybody was looking for me to propose. Of course, I did not. I actually chickened out at the gala. I did it later, but I don't know what happened. But I remember buying that ring in like August, July, August. So all of those things contributed to why do I think I do want to marry this person. Now, she didn't tell this part. I'm this kind of, so the young lady I took home from college, I brought home, I didn't know this until later, that my mother told her
Mm-hmm.
something like, well, I knew she wasn't the one or something. I don't remember
Mm-hmm.
the exact details.
I remember she saying, he brought that girl home. She was sweet and she was pretty and she had long hair, but I just knew that wasn't it. She wasn't the one.
And so, you know, so looking at all of those things and thinking about all those things, I think again, when I accepted Christ, that's when I started really thinking about marriage. I hadn't thought really about it other than, so I remember that's kind of when it started. And then I just remember that particular day. I remember I was in the store and I bought that ring. Um, Again, I held on it for months. Um, so the journey has been quite, that particular journey from high school to between colleges up until engagement were just as we described it.
But I like the fact that the one thing I have to give my mom credit, and I remember I told somebody this, and he was like, I never knew that. My mom would say when he would come home, and I'm like, oh, he's home. He's gonna come in to do. She was like, you got something to do, and I'm like, I don't have nothing to do. She said, you have something to do. If this is going with me, she always instilled in me that you never be readily available when a boy calls you because you have a life outside of him. And that was my mantra, even when I was in high school, doing my own thing, living my life. If we were together, great. If we wasn't, great. I never fell apart about it because I loved me enough and had my own plans. I had my own vision for my life. I had my own goal for my life, and it didn't center around him. Great if he was a part of it, but if he wasn't, then so be it. I was going to accomplish those things that I wanted to accomplish during my timeline, and that's kind of how I held on through college, through high school, through college, and I believe that was one of the things that like he said, he thought was the different thing that allowed him to see, like, okay, she not falling apart because I'm not here. No, Brenda Holman, she made sure that was something that I didn't do, and I always did that with my girls. So we're gonna take a quick break, and then we're gonna talk about our engagement and how all of that went down.